1. Hey, this is Kirk.
And this is Bird. It's the Kirk and Bird Show. And today we are blessed to have with us Sean Glennon. He's a 703 legend, 703 football legend. He played at Westfield High School, led him to a state championship, and then he played for our Virginia Tech Hokies. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on. Like I said, I became a fan quickly watching y'all's video. So I look forward to having some fun.
That's right. Thanks, Sean. Sean's coming from Ashburn/Cashburn, and he's in the mortgage industry. So we know you've been busy, but before we get started, Sean, we'll do some public service announcements. So we're the Kirk and Bird Show on YouTube. If you just Google it, we'll pop up. Hit subscribe, and then, Sean, you're in the housing business, the mortgage business, and the last 5 years, I was looking at Loudoun County in 90. It was 80,000 people, and now it's 420. So why don't you talk to us about what you're doing now, and let's talk about the glorious Tech years. You won a state championship at Westfield. You played with Eddie Royal. You played for a great coach, Tom Vermanik. But go ahead and plug your mortgage. You work with one of our good friends, a guy that's in real estate, Jay Golson. And, man, there's so many Hokies up here. And, yeah, it's like – tell us about where you're working now. We'll make sure everybody gets it.
Well, my resume is pretty short. Once I got done with football, I just kind of stumbled into a job. I met a guy playing golf who asked me what I was planning on doing. I didn't really have any set plans. I was really at that point like just trying to get back into football, into the league. And he owned a mortgage bank and asked me if I'd be interested in working for him. I didn't really know what a mortgage was, but with my finance background and, the ability to kind of be your own boss and control how much money you make, right? The mission job, it was kind of a perfect job for me to jump into while I still kept an ear out, wanted, in case the phone rang for football. It was a job that I could come and go and stuff like that. And other than some tryouts and some minor stuff here and there, football didn't really materialize for me after I'd gotten cut from the Vikings and Ravens. So I just I had 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, and I kind of dove in with both feet starting in 2010. And I've been at the same company and I'm a partner there now, Home Savings and Trust Mortgage. So I've been in the mortgage industry. This is going on my 13th year. And like you said, I live in Ashburn. I was in Arlington for my single years. I'm married now with kids, and our family lives in Ashburn.
We know all about
very
it.
blessed life.
We all did.
We're just a little ahead.
Single, I was
Right.
in Alexandria.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Sean. Everybody's putting on the golden handcuffs right now. We see them. Y'all are having babies. You're buying the fat crib. And they need to go to you to get a good rate. And, there's so many Hokie, but there's a lot of football realtors out there I've seen, So look up Sean. He's at Home Savings and Trust, Sean Glennon, SEA and Glennon. He'll take care of you. And we'll plug our boy Jay Golson. Jay sells all over the place. But Sean, that was a
Jay's a good guy. Jay's a really good guy.
Yeah. So you moved to Virginia. We were just talking before we went on, and I met your dad in the Orange Bowl. I sat beside him, and it was like we kind of told you the format for our show. It was like we just sit down, we start talking with somebody, and I talked to your dad.
Now, was this at the old Orange Bowl?
Yeah, the old one.
The decrepit one that was falling to the ground.
I parlayed a business trip into staying at Miami Beach and going to the Orange Bowl, and had some friends come down there. But so I talked to your dad, and I know you were born in Houston, the Woodlands, and you came up here your freshman year. Your dad worked for ExxonMobil. So why don't we just start there? You went to a new school, Westfield,
Yeah.
it's a football powerhouse. Tell us about that journey, that part of your journey, and tell your dad I said hello too. By the way.
Well, we'll do. That's funny. And side note, I mean, I was so pumped that first year. We're going to the Orange Bowl, man, like legendary. And you get there and you're like, it's like the Roman Coliseum. I mean, the place was just like falling to the ground. It was not what I envisioned.
You don't want to get lost in that neighborhood either.
No, it wasn't in the best part of the town either. I guess Orange Bowl, you just had a kind of a vision in your head. We moved to Virginia, and you mentioned Westfield being a football powerhouse. We sure as heck weren't when we started off my first year there. And, I appreciate my parents moving into the Westfield School District. It allowed me an opportunity to not feel like such a new kid, because Westfield was a new high school. We were pulling from different area, pulling from all kinds of different high schools in the area.
Yep.
So a lot of kids were meeting each other for the first time. But not only that, but Westfield didn't have seniors. So that first year, it was only freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Yep. And so, probably a lot of kids that should have been playing freshmen played JV. A lot of JV kids probably played varsity just by default by not having a senior class. So it definitely provided more athletic opportunity at a younger age, maybe than I would have gotten other schools. So it was all good, but we got our butts kicked early on. You can imagine having seniors parlay well into a lot of success on the field early on. But as or anyone who follows Northern Virginia college football know, we turned that around quickly due to a lot of good coaching and some good talent.
Okay.
In fact, you guys won. What did you win the state? You guys won in
03.
03. You graduated in 04. But
I graduated in 04, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us some of the guys you had on that team. Eddie Royal, Royster. I mean, Evan Royster.
Yeah.
How was that? Did you guys know you were gonna, especially starting out, like when you all were first there, like did you know you guys had something special? I guess not when you first started, but did you know, okay, these are some talented kids?
No, absolutely not when we first started. Like I said, we were pretty terrible. Our first year, we weren't even allowed to play like we had been classified as AAA. Yeah, we were playing teams from all over the state, Maryland, DC. We played a correctional facility team. It was a wild first year, but we were pretty bad. And second year, we got into the Concord district. I know it's changed a million times since then, but that was, the Centerville, Chantilly, Herndon, Oakton division. My second year. And that was the first year I started at quarterback as a sophomore, and we still weren't very good. I believe we were under 500. I think we were 4-5, 4-6, something like that. And then my junior year is where things turned around because we finally had a strong and full senior class, because even that junior class that we had the first year was not full. The kids had the option to stay at Pearl School. And Eddie had come over. So Eddie did not attend Westfield his freshman or sophomore year. So his first year at Westfield was his junior year. And that coincided with Evan's first year at Westfield, because Evan was a freshman when I was a junior. He was 2 years behind.
Okay, I didn't know that. Younger. Okay.
He was 2 years behind us. So Evan came over because his brother, Brandon Royster, who went to Stanford, who was a really good high school player.
Great at Fairfax High School.
Yeah, his college career didn't really work out for him, but I heard he was a fantastic high school player.
Yep, great. I used to go see him. Yeah.
So because the Royster family had an allegiance to Coach Urbanek, Mrs. Royster, I think she got a job at Westfield, so Evan could come to Westfield. And yes, after that junior year, that's when we figured we were pretty good. We went undefeated in the regular season. We ended up getting beat by Oakton in the regional playoffs. But going into senior year, it was kind of like state championship or bust. I mean, my coach, Tom Urbanek, always kind of jokes that, like, obviously we got a lot of praise and a lot attention for winning the state championship our senior year. But he was like, if I didn't, win the state championship with the talent that we had, then, I did a pretty bad job coaching, because we just, we had so many good players. I know that, me, Eddie, and Evan get a lot of the attention, but we had a lot of guys that were really solid players that played, a lot of, Division II or small Division one double A. It's not, allowed to call that it anymore. FBS. We had some good players, but obviously on offense with myself, Evan, and Eddie headlining, it presented matchup problems right away, and we were well coached, well disciplined team with a lot of experience, as I mentioned earlier, because kids played at such a young age at Westfield, because we had to. By the time we were all seniors, we had played a lot of varsity football together.
Yeah, Rusty and I. What was last year, Rusty? We saw him play Madison.
Madison, yeah.
Man, we had a city stadium in Hampton called Darling Stadium, and those facilities at Westfield are unbelievable. How many fields?
Now they are.
Oh, okay. They were.
Oh, they were.
No, they were terrible. We were playing on dirt. Now they got the nice turf.
But dog, let me tell you something. I've played flag football for like 20-some years, but we would play I played in the league, and we played games at Westfield. This was a few years ago, on Sunday nights. But I was like, and I've been there plenty of times, but I was looking around and I was going, wait a minute, this place is nice. Because I didn't know. I was like, they don't have a track around the football field. The stadium is nice. It is nice. The stadium was very nice. I was going, this is as nice as some Division II colleges, And when you look at the atmosphere, and then especially when you guys are going, I love the atmosphere at Westfield during the playoffs. I mean, regular season too, but that place, it feels great. I was there when I guess the last time you won states, 2017. I was there when you beat Woodbridge. My wife used to work at Woodbridge, and so you beat Woodbridge in that semifinals. And then back in 2007, when your brother was the quarterback, that game was at UVA. I was there for that. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. And in Woodbridge, we had this kid, Antoine Williams. They called him the Rocket, and he was great. I think both teams were 10-0. We both have W's that look alike, and so
the Wisconsin W,
the Wisconsin W, yeah. But it was a great game, and you got that school has only been open about 22 years, but you've already got 5 state championships. Like that's great, man.
They started ripping them off after. I mean, I can only account for one of them, but they started reeling them off there. What was it, that like 2010 to 2015 time frame? We were they turned into a little dynasty.
Yeah, that Oscar Smith team they beat was very good.
3 years in a row in overtime.
Westfield.
Yeah, a lot of. I was about to say which one, because I hear that we had Oscar Smith's number for whatever reason. I know how much talent comes out of that school, but I heard they just could not get over the hump and beating us.
Sean, what else did you play at Westfield? Did you play baseball, basketball?
I played basketball. Yeah, I was a baseball, basketball, football guy. In high school, I decided to just play 2, just so I'd have an off season to focus on football. I played like AAU travel basketball too in the season. So I played football and basketball all the way through, even after I committed to Virginia Tech in my fall senior season. I wanted to play basketball. I told Coach Beamer and my Coach Rogers, my quarterback's coach, that I wanted to, because I thought it was it's going to be as good or better than any conditioning and training I do on my own. I think basketball is obviously fantastic for your feet, stuff like that. So I almost used basketball now because I enjoyed it and had fun, but almost like off season, training program for what was to come at Virginia Tech.
Okay. And the way we grew up, I'll tell you, man, like we so many kids specialize nowadays, but that's how that we basically cross training, because I know I was doing something year round, all 3 seasons. I was either playing football, running indoor track, playing basketball, outdoor baseball, or something. And you're and I've been a youth football and track coach for the last 15, 20 years, and I get these parents that want to just specialize. And and my daughter played travel soccer, but I'll have kids not only specialize in, say, just track, but then they want to just specialize in one or two events. And they're just doing that. I've seen kids 8 years old, and all they're doing is running the mile or running the 400. And I'm like, no, like even within track, you can do other things. But you were definitely with basketball. I tell you, at 6'4", what position did you play? Well, like in high school, did they make you a big man and you really got guard skills? Or
I'm gonna guess power forward.
I'm gonna raise my hand and say I invented the swing four before it was ever popular. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
So first of all, let me go back to what you just said, Kurt. We could do an entire podcast on sports specialization and how much I despise it. I talk to so many parents. I have kids, three girls, and they're not quite at the age where sports is it's serious for a little while, but it's amazing to me. It blows my mind, to be honest with you, of parents telling me when their kid's 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're already like picking a track, and they claim they're forced to, or you're going to be left behind. You're not going to make these travel teams and all this stuff. And I just think that's crazy. Sports skills are transferable. I mean, I'm a huge believer in that there's no way I would have been the football player that I was if I didn't play basketball. And I wouldn't be the basketball player I was if I didn't play football. And I wouldn't have the eye-hand coordination I had if I didn't play baseball or mess around. I played, hit the golf ball. I didn't play seriously, but when I could. And we used to play roller hockey in the driveway and all those things, like, again, just characteristics in eye-hand coordination and agility and athleticism and strength and toughness, all that stuff, they build on each other, man. And one of my favorite things, I screenshotted it and I send it to any friend or father that I'm having an argument with about this stuff. It was the playoffs a year or two ago in the NFL, and the big shots were left: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, all those guys. And I was in the USA Today. Of the 8 quarterbacks that were left in the NFL playoffs, 7 of them were 3-sport athletes in high school, and one of them was a 2-sport athlete. So if the best quarterbacks in the world most of them played 3 sports in high school, and then your 9-year-old girl should not just be playing softball. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'll get off my.
That's all right, man.
I'll get off my soapbox and that. But when you brought it up, you already got me fired up.
Hey, if you get those girls in the soccer, that club soccer or softball, I mean, you got there's the batting cage and the baseball places and the training, and I mean you and your wife are going to be driving those girls around, and I mean it's a grind. So hopefully, and you're in Stonebridge, right? Stonebridge.
I'll be in the Stonebridge High School district, and yes, right now our weekends are a lot more concise. You knock out the sports in an hour or two, but I realize that is going to be short-lived as they get older. So my weekend golf is a major trouble.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
so let me.
I was just gonna say he lives near a dance school that it will suck the money out of your wallet.
That's off limits. We ignore that every time we pull out of our neighborhood.
Hotel rooms, costumes. Go ahead,
Sean. Let me give you some advice, bro. This is what I did. First off, I did this with 2 boys and a daughter who were about 2 years, then 3 years apart. But anyway, anytime you can, you coach them when they're young. That way you can put them on the same team and you can control when practice is and the schedules. My oldest was 2 years younger than my son. I always had the younger one playing up because they now had one practice I was taking them to. I was the coach. And then my middle child, my daughter, who's a year behind him, I had them on the same team and she played up. And it was always like, and then once they started getting older and getting on travel and I couldn't control it, it was like, we were going like this. But then when I coached track, I had them my wife and I helped start a track program out here. It was like, we're a family again. Like we're all gonna, they run different events, but we're on one team and daddy helps control where we're going, what we're doing. So, I know sometimes you're like, I don't want to coach my kids, but the thing about it was we have some great memories from that, even though sometimes I think I was a little tough. But it was good when I did have other people to help balance me out. And I learned from that, hey, you know what? My kids aren't going to listen to me. So I always had another parent tell my kids what I wanted to do, and I did the same for them, you know. But yeah, that, you know, and then it's not just sports, whatever, get them into anything, you know, and just make it fun. You know,
absolutely. We're on the same page. I've coached everything they've done up to this point. Not always knowing exactly. You know, I'm coaching both girls' soccer teams right now. I've played soccer.
That's what I do.
6 years old, but you know, you're right. It allows feel like some control, but also feel like you're really being hands-on with your kid. It's good quality time with them. I think they respond better, probably at least at this age. To me, they're probably going to be a time where it's dad, get the hell away from me. But at least right now, they want me around, so I'll take that. But yeah, I have one rule with my wife. I said, I don't care what sport they choose. I don't care if they choose sports, but they got to do something. Busy is the key for kids. When they have spare time, that's when bad decisions are made. So we're going to keep them busy as we can until they ship up out of here.
Yeah. So talking about youth in sports, when did you get your start in sports? How old were you, and was your dad involved in some of that, or your mom? You know.
Yeah, both very involved. My dad coached us for as long as, you know, life allowed him to, in terms of, like, obviously once you get to a certain age, as you just mentioned, certain things take over where you can't just, you know, raise your hand and say, hey, I want to be coach. So my dad coached all of our teams. When I say all of them, myself, my sister, my brother, for as long as he could. I think mom even helped out a few times with some of my sister's coaching. So they were very involved. And I mean, I don't think I did anything crazy, you know, soccer and t-ball when I was little. And then actually, I think when I was in third grade, I wanted to play football, and that's when that started. But it was very normal, nothing crazy. We didn't have all these 7-on-7 stuff. So I played football in the fall, and that's when I played it, right? And I played basketball in the winter, and I played baseball in the summer. And there was some level of, like, travel basketball stuff that got started in the summer, probably when I was, like, you know, 12, 13 years old, but not before that. So it was pretty normal, even through high school. Like I said, there wasn't spring football in Virginia. A quick funny story is I came to Virginia my freshman year from Texas. In Texas, you start playing for, like, your high school in 7th grade. Like, we had cuts and stuff like that.
Wow.
And you play on the same schedule as your high school, but you play 7th grade played on Mondays, 8th grade played on Tuesdays, freshman Wednesdays, JV Thursdays, varsity Friday.
Wow.
So you kind of, like, almost feel like you're playing high school football at a young age there. We had spring football. That's when I decided.
Spring football,
yeah. So when I was in 7th grade, that's when I decided to give up baseball, because I would have missed out on spring football, and I liked football more. And so we get to Virginia. We have our freshman year. I told you it was a crazy year because of what Westfield had going on, and you know, I'm sure y'all remember, it's been going on since the beginning of time. You have, like, that exit meeting with your coach right at the end of the season. So I'm talking to Coach Urbanek, and he's, you know, telling me whatever he thought of there. And then I said, okay, coach. And he asked me, so what are your plans, like, athletically for the rest of the year? And I said, well, I'm going to try out for the basketball team in the winter. But I'm not going to do anything in the spring. So I'll see you spring football. Look forward to seeing you spring football. Yeah. And they looked at me like I had heads. He's like, what the hell are you talking about, Sean? Like, spring ball, what are you talking about? He's like, we don't do that here. We're not in Texas anymore.
That's right.
Get out of here.
So, Sean,
that's all I did. It wasn't anything crazy. AAU basketball was as crazy as, like, my extracurricular activities probably ever got. The circuit camps that they do now, the 7-on-7, the national, that stuff didn't exist in football. At least when, I know I'm talking like 100 years old, but it really didn't. You played football in August to November, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, now the schools are pretty much full by September. They've got their 20, whatever it is, you know, commits. And it's like, you know, with the transfer portal, I feel bad because there's some good players out there. But I was going to ask you, so the first varsity team at Westfield, you're the quarterback. You're a 3-year starter. when did you know that you had a chance to play college football? Because you're a very good sized kid, and that certainly doesn't help hurt in the quarterback position. But when did you know? When did you start getting mail? Things like that.
Well, I think there's probably always a self-belief, but yeah, there is a moment where the dreams become like, oh wow, like this might be actual reality. So my sophomore year, I guess it's a pretty good story, I guess. The first game we played, I actually split with another guy. And then 9/11 happened. So we had our second game of the season was canceled. Unfortunately, between that first game and now the third game, they never made up the next game. The other guy that I was splitting reps with got hurt. So I was playing against Annandale by myself, or by myself. It was stupid. I was going to play the whole game. And it ended up being the highest scoring game in Virginia high school league history. It went into 5 overtimes. The final score was 69 and 68. I threw for 5 touchdowns, and I remember the next morning, my dad, or my grandfather, the sports section of Washington Post, ready for me when I came downstairs, and I was on the cover of the sports section of the Washington Post.
That's a big deal in DC, man.
Yeah, and so I don't want to say it was like that moment. I was like, oh, I can play college football, but it was almost like that was like my I've arrived moment, and then I ended up having like a good, not necessarily like, groundbreaking that I was getting heavily recruited, but I had a very good sophomore season to the point I started getting like the letters,
right,
and stuff like that. No offers, no like, Nick even sitting in my living room, but just started getting some letters, some invitation to camps, some, I remember UVA was like the king of letters. Like they would send the 3,000 of them, and I just remember like, soon after like my sophomore year, I started getting some letters from UVA, and that's kind of where I was like, holy crap, like, I've got a real shot to play big time college football.
Okay. Now let me see. So you were clearly an outstanding athlete in high school, but were you also that dude in youth sports? Like, were you that dude like, okay, he's just scored 9 touchdowns. He just dropped 40 points at 11 or 12 years old. Like, were you that guy?
I don't know if I go that far. I was good. I mean, I was always more advanced and like, I was always better than most of the kids around me. I wouldn't say I was like some prodigy, but I was good. I think, usually the team I was playing on, I was probably the best player or at the top. I was actually a pretty good basketball player. That's what I always thought my sport was going to be. Growing up as a kid, that's where I would say I was like semi-dominant as a kid. But baseball was good, not great. Football, it was obvious I had an arm, but I don't think I knew exactly what was going to happen. And again, that's why get back on my soapbox. If I was forced to pick a sport when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, it 1000% would have been basketball. And so the path my life took would have never happened. And so again, that's why I'm so into wait and just play as many as you can. And then it just happened. Like I said, it wasn't until like junior high, early high school that I was like, oh, actually football's my best sport. Yep. So if I was forced to choose as a 12-year-old, it would, no question, it would have been basketball. But yeah, I was good. Like I said, I was no prodigy. I was nothing that was just overly spectacular. But I was very good at the youth sports I was playing.
So, well, and I'll let just so you know, Kirk played basketball, played all region in tennis, and ran cross country. I played football, ran track, played basketball. But Kirk had to have games. He went to Phoebus, and he was the only white guy on the team, so he had to have some games. But you're 6'4". How old were you when you first dunked? Or what grade?
I was a little bit of a late bloomer, so I joked earlier that I was the first swing 4. My first 2 years at Westfield, I played point guard. I wouldn't say I was short, but I wasn't tall. Right. And I think from when I entered Westfield, I was probably like 5'9", and then by my junior year, I'm 6'3". So I had a big growth spurt, like freshman, sophomore, junior year. And so I kind of was, went from point guard to 2, and then 3, and then by senior year, I was playing 4. but I had no post-up skills at all. I was with my back to the basket. I had no idea what to do. So I just kind of like would probably against my coach's wishes most of the time, just migrate out to the perimeter. Didn't want to be down low. But, it worked out okay because usually I had a slower guy on me, so I could drive past them. Or if they put a small guy on me, I would attempt my best post-up moves, but they weren't anything to write home about. So
Sean,
I was a late bloomer, so I probably didn't dunk till I was like a sophomore.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Maybe an early junior. I don't remember.
I'm 5'7", just so you know, but I was probably 5'5" in the 5th grade, 6th grade, and I played center. We joke, our mutual friend.
You're probably taller than me then. You're probably taller than me at that age.
So when I played football, my first few years of football, I had to play the line. I played center in basketball. And then as I kept getting older, I went from being a center to a forward, power forward, then a small forward. And then by the time I got like to 9th grade and everybody else kept growing, even in high, I was like, so I was the opposite. I had a low post game, but had no guard skills. And I'm like, and everybody's, of course you should be a guard. You're 5'7", bro. So I had to learn how to play point guard.
So you went the opposite way.
You the opposite. Yeah, I was the opposite. Yep. And the same thing from football. I was on the line. I played center. Then I played deep tackle. And then as things went on, and I kept telling them, every kid says it. No, coach, I'm a running back or I'm a quarterback. And everybody thinks that. But then as everybody else kept getting bigger. I ended up playing quarterback in high school, and I played running back, and so. But yeah, it went the opposite way for me, man. And I haven't dunked yet. That's funny. I haven't dunked yet.
You played against Scotty Reynolds. You played against Scotty Reynolds at Herndon, right? Sorry, man. You played Scotty Reynolds, right?
I did. He was younger. It was he might have been a senior, but even at that point, it was obvious what he was. I don't know Scotty that well, but actually Eddie Royal, who's obviously I'm close with, is very close with Scotty. So I kind of know him. I know he's a good career overseas. Professionally, no, Scotty was special at Herndon. It was very, very obvious. Herndon was good at basketball, man. Before Scotty was Ricky Lucas. I mean, they had some guys every year at Herndon. Herndon South Lakes for a little while. We're churning some guys out.
Yep. When I moved to Reston in the early 90s, and I used to just go to South Lakes games, and Gary Hall over at Herndon, man, those are old school, man. They packed a gym. But so
you probably saw Grant there then.
No, he was 90.
No,
still a Tech.
Okay.
Yeah. What when did it start to crystallize? You starting to get looks. You're obviously, I read because I don't remember back then, and mass media wasn't like it is now. But I know it came down to Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech. I'm glad you picked Virginia Tech. I'm sure you did. But when did it start to crystallize? Obviously UVA. I'm taking it that bro.
I mean, I was recruited, but I wasn't. Big 12, Pac-10, SEC schools weren't really calling me. I was really just recruited semi-regionally, Big 10, Big East, and ACC.
Right.
And I kind of always wanted to play in the ACC. I grew up a Duke fan, actually. My mother's brother played football at Duke, and because of that, my family kind of always rooted for Duke basketball, right? I mean, you can't really, at least at that time, you couldn't really root for Duke football. There wasn't much to root for. But we grew up, being near UVA in Maryland, and like I said, I had family members in North Carolina, so they were that Raleigh area, so kind of the UNC, NC State, Duke triangle. So the ACC was just, I don't want to say it was like in our blood. That's obviously going to dramatic, but it was just kind of something I followed it. Right. That's the best way to put it. I followed the ACC very intently. And so I always kind of wanted to play there. But I loved Virginia Tech. I really did. I enjoyed my visit. I loved Kevin Rogers, who was a quarterbacks coach there at the time. And it was big time football. It was Virginia Tech. And probably like the only thing that was like holding me back was conference. I didn't really love the Big East, and the style of football played there wasn't really befitting to me. And so, yeah, I mean, I had a lot of interest in UVA. Al Groh and Mike Groh was there. Matt Shaw was a quarterback at the time. And I kind of obviously felt like, wow, like that guy plays football like I do, you know, and I want to be the next Matt Schaub. So I kind of, UVA was definitely highly considered. I went down to Georgia Tech and was really impressed with Chan Gailey was the coach at that time. And he was an NFL offense kind of guy. He was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You know, I grew up in Houston, Texas. So Dallas Cowboys, I mean, I was excited by him. He was telling me about this awesome receiver named Calvin Johnson that I was going to get to throw to. So I was very impressed with Georgia Tech, and I thought, again, offensively, just that coach and the ability to play early was there. So yeah, I mean, and then other ACC schools, I looked at Wake, I looked at like I said, the Tobacco Road, you know, Duke and UNC and NC State schools. So I just kind of had my heart set on going to the ACC, but I did love this school, Virginia Tech. You know, I loved the campus, I loved the coaches, I loved, like I said, it was big time football, and it was close to home, and you know, so many things. And so really the turning point, and I know this sounds almost petty, but I picked up the paper and saw that Virginia Tech, BC, Miami were moving to the ACC. Yeah. All of a sudden, Virginia Tech went from, you know, third on the list, you know, immediately jumped to first, because kind of the only thing that was holding me back from really going all in on Virginia Tech was the conference stuff. And I don't know why I was so hung up on it, but I just was. And, you know, they also sold me on ACC, throws the ball more. We're going to need to kind of morph our offense a little bit. You'll be the first quarterback we've recruited doing that. And I don't know how much we really changed. They at least sold me on that bill of goods. And yeah, I think ever since that day where they announced that they were going to the ACC, I would say that, at least in my mind and my heart, they were kind of number one from there forward.
Wait, so Sean, and it worked out perfect because it was 040 you graduated when they announced going to the ACC. But you mean you would not have wanted to play under Paul Johnson your senior year and run the option? Come on, bro.
Yeah, like I said, the Big East had kind of more of this smash mouth football style that, you know, with West Virginia and Temple and Syracuse and gosh, what else was in the Big East at that time? Pittsburgh and BC. It was just kind of like this rugged conference.
Very good conference.
And I guess the ACC just was a little bit more sexy to me. And like I said, once Miami and Virginia Tech announced they were shipping out, I was all right, let's go.
And it worked out very well. So tell us about your time at Virginia Tech as a player and as a student.
Well, I mean, like anyone's career, I had ups and downs, but man, I got to play. You know, in terms of just the 30,000-foot view that I have now as an old man, I got to play some big-time football, some big-time games, and some big-time environments, and we had a lot of success. So, although that, you know, things didn't always go exactly the way I wanted it to, I had a disastrous bowl game my first year starting my sophomore year that I got, you know, definitely a lot of grief for, and probably deservedly so. Came back the next year, had a good year. We win the ACC. We're, you know, top 5, top 10 team in the country all year. And then my senior year, I only start 4 or 5 of the 14 games we had. Tyrod Taylor, you know, was there, and you know, it wouldn't even be fair to say that we split time. He played more than I did. So my senior year, you know, I look back, or at least at the time, was very bitter, was very frustrated that, you know, I didn't kind of ride off into the sunset like I thought I would. And obviously it impacted my draft stuff like that, not playing that much. So, you know, there was definitely things that happened along the way that it was like, gosh, if this had just gone differently, or gosh, if this had just been a little bit better, then man, my career would have been amazing. But like I said, I get to look back and say I played in BCS bowl games. I played in ACC championship games. We played in God knows how many Thursday night, you know, when Thursday night was college football. Now it's not, but when Thursday night was the game to be on,
Virginia,
you know, so many of those we got.
Yeah, you guys were one of those
Go
Thursdays.
ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying Thursday night was the night Virginia Tech like owned it.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would say that with unequivocation that when ESPN football Thursday nights were at its peak, I would say in the dictionary next to that would
Yep.
Tech, or we were Thursday night. I mean, the campus lived for Thursday night games, and I know we as players did as well. A lot of times they were big games, right? It wasn't just, not to disparage any of the teams, but it wasn't Virginia Tech versus some of the lower teams. It was Virginia Tech, Miami on Thursday nights. It was, we played Maryland a couple times on Thursday nights. It was Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. It was Virginia Tech, Florida State. I mean, it was big boy games on those Thursday nights. And so, yeah, I mean, I look back, I had a lot of fun, had some great teammates. We had 10 or 11 win seasons every single year there. We won the ACC 3 of the 5 years I was there. I mean, unbelievable ride. Really, like I said, my only complaints or my only regrets looking back is that just that senior year didn't end. I didn't, like I said, ride off into the sunset like I thought I was going to. But now, like I said, now that I'm old and bald and can look back and reflect, I had an opportunity that most never do. I appreciate that, Kirk.
How was your time as a student outside of football? Because it's a great place to go to school.
It was. Man, anyone who hasn't been down to Blacksburg, Virginia Tech's campus, for some reason, it doesn't get mentioned with the beautiful campuses of the
incredible
of the country. It is awesome, man. I mean, I went to a lot of schools. Maybe besides Notre Dame, I don't know that I saw a more pretty campus than Virginia Tech. Loved going to school there. The Pamplin. I went to the Pamplin School of Business. A lot of good teachers. I really enjoyed my education there. I mean, obviously not all of it. A lot of like any college student, I was just trying to get through some classes, but truly did enjoy my experience on campus. Like I said, just beautiful, good people. We had golf courses around to play in the summer, and definitely as many memories off the field as on it down there for sure.
Is your wife a Hokie, Sean?
She isn't. No.
Okay.
She's an adopted one now. She definitely roots for Virginia Tech, but she went to George Mason, so
okay.
We met later in life.
Gotcha. All right. So, by the way, where'd you live in Blacksburg?
So freshman year, I lived in Cochran, where we all did at the time. Off campus, my first couple of years, I lived in Shawnee. Wasn't very nice, but it was super cheap. It was super cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we lived there for a little bit, and then I finished my time in Terrace View. Got a little bit of an upgrade. We actually had an apartment with carpet. And,
what was your number, man? What was your number?
Air conditioning and stuff like that.
I was 4,100. What was your number?
4,100.
Terrace View.
Terrace View. Oh, goodness gracious. Man, you got a good memory.
You don't remember it, huh?
I could go downstairs and find out. My sister made this cool little collage of things, and one of them was my. It was Tom's Creek Road. I know it was the address, but she had the address on there. Yeah, the 7-Eleven. I used to walk over there. I was right across the street.
Me too.
So that's where I was. The building that was literally parallel to the 7-Eleven across Tom's Creek. That's where I was at.
Okay. Yeah, there was a bunch of us out there. So they're tearing all that down, man, putting up very glamorous housing now. So.
Oh, my God. It's so nice now. It looks like we lived in the slums.
I know.
Yeah.
So how was the experience of, leaving Tech and then the pros? I know you went to camp with the Vikings, and that's a grind. We were talking last night with Dwight Vick about, he went to camp with Baltimore and he just talked about how good everybody was. But how eye-opening was it going to many? Don't they go to camp in Duluth or one of the schools? In
Mankato is where they I guess I don't know for sure that they still go there. At least at the time that's where they did. Minnesota State, Mankato. It was again, it's one of those things looking back, like, oh man, so cool I was there. Adrian Peterson and Jared Allen and, all these superstars. But when you're there at the time, I don't want to say you don't enjoy it, because obviously you're putting on an NFL helmet and you're tasting appetizer of like your lifelong dream. But it's also very stressful, at least especially for a guy like me who was on the outside looking in probably from the minute, I signed, because even though you think like, all right, 53-man roster plus 8 for practice squad, this 61 guys they keep out of, there's 90 of us here. So 2/3 of the people here, they're going to keep, like, you got a good chance. 45 or 50 of the spots are done. They're locked up, right? It's 40 of us fighting for 10 spots. That's really what it is, right? And I was really, if I'm being honest, just hoping to like be the practice squad QB. I was just looking to get my in the door and stay in the show. Unfortunately, I ran into a little bit of bad luck that Brett Favre came out of retirement to sign with Minnesota when I was there. So low man on the totem pole, who are they going to cut to make room for him? So I got called into the office and got told, we got to create a roster spot and you're the odd man out, which, I mean, again, in retrospect, I totally understand, but at the time it was like, you got to, you're looking up at the sky, like, you got to be kidding me. And really the way that hurt me the most, more than just getting cut, was I got cut right before the preseason.
Right.
So, guys like me who are just fighting for a spot, I was an undrafted free agent. I didn't get drafted. So,
right.
The deck's already kind of stacked against me. But the preseason, it was where you can at least go out and press someone else. Right? If you get cut, at least there's 31 other teams that you
get some
put
film
something on tape for. I didn't get that. And so went home. Eventually, Baltimore called me. Went there briefly, and the Miami Dolphins cut John Beck, so they ended up picking him up. Cam Cameron was their offense coordinator, and I guess he was the old pick pushing of the Dolphins, so they had some sort of connection there. And then that was it for me. I never got another shot with an NFL team. I tried doing a league called the UFL. It was like a startup league
I remember that.
at the time. That didn't last very long, but that was it for the NFL. Like I said, I tried kind of some minor league, right, type things.
What about Canada?
I didn't do Canada. No,
my brother played in Canada for a little bit, but
I had one opportunity. I did have one contract offer, but if I signed, what happens is you're giving up your ability to
play again in the NFL.
Play again in the NFL, at least for that next season.
Right.
Yep.
And so that was a decision. Again, there's a lot more that goes into some of these decisions that people think. And so it was like, all right, do I want to give it one more run and hope to get into a camp next year, or do I want to go up to? It was like Saskatchewan or something. It was like somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And I made the decision to not do that and hope that something would work out. Of course, I ended up being wrong and nothing did work out. And then that's when I started realizing my fate and kind of diving into the business world, which was hard, right? It's hard that identity crisis you have of like who I am. All of a sudden is, you don't get to introduce yourself as a football player anymore. And it was definitely hard. That first year is hard, that transition. Not that I didn't have a good job. It was just more, like I said, almost the ego involved with that transition.
But the vast majority of people are like you, and they go on to work, and you got a finance degree, and it had its advantages. But Rusty, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're at about 49 minutes. So people want to mark this. You've only known Virginia Tech being very good. You were there for the 10-win seasons. And here we are now in 2022. It's Brent Pry's first year. What are your feelings on Tech? And what do you feel where we'll be in the next 4 or 5 years with Brent Pry?
I love everything about Coach Pry in terms of what he embodies I could not have been more impressed with every single thing that he has done since he's been hired, and the game plan that he's at least said he's laid out. Again, now obviously I'm not going to crown anybody until they put words to action, and thus far, obviously things aren't going too well. It's definitely hard to watch, when you're used, like you said, 10, 11 win seasons, and shoot, we're on our way to 4-8, 5-7. Like it stinks, no two ways around it. It's tough to, when you have pride and you always have pride in being able to, you puff your chest out and say, that's my old squad. And we don't have that right now. It's tough. It's tough to watch us be a below average Power 5 team. So, I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth saying it's really disappointing seeing where we're at with the history, right, that we had the 20 years before. But again, I'm going to give Coach Pride the benefit of the doubt right now. I'm going to, it's a process. I don't think anyone expected us to go 4 this year. But all the messaging he's had of just kind of returning to the roots of what Virginia Tech football is, just being an ambassador and a cog in Blacksburg of the community, recruiting the state, which God knows why we got away from. Y'all mentioned you're from 757. We used to have our pick of the litter of 757, and that's where really half the studs from the Virginia Tech glory years, from the 90s through 2015 when Beamer left. That's where our guys were from. I mean, Northern Virginia, we did well. We represented well ourselves.
Y'all had some ballers,
Maryland too.
Richmond is represented well. DC is represented well, but 757 was the heart. That was the blood flow of that Virginia Tech program, and we got away from that completely. I was looking at the recruiting rankings, and every top 25 guy that was from 757 was going to North Carolina, Penn State, Clemson. None of them were going to Virginia Tech. I mean, really, not many players of the whole state of Virginia were going to Virginia Tech. And so I think we lost our identity a little bit. I think we the foundation that the program is built on, we knocked it to the ground, tried to build something new. And I think that Coach Pry, that's the best analogy I can make. I think he realizes that the original house that we had built was built on the right stuff. Right. And I think he's trying to get back to that instead of what I think Coach Fuente did was try to, like I said, build a new house altogether. Yeah. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to hit the panic button yet. Let's give him 2-3 years to build his own foundation, right? But hey, no one in Blacksburg, no one in the alumni base is gonna get used to 5 and 7 seasons. So we gotta we gotta right this ship.
Yep. So we're going to now transition to doing a little bit more. Let's learn a little bit more about Sean Glennon that folks may not have known about you. So first of all, we like to know little stuff like, what does Sean Glennon have time to get into Netflix, or what are you streaming? Or do you like going to the movies now that we can go back? And what's your favorite movie of all time?
Okay, well, yeah, I am. I mean, that's kind of the nightly routine is getting the kids down, tidying up the house, and then me and the wife put on whatever show of the moment we're following, get in a show before we pass out a night. I know she's probably hoping I wrap up this quickly because we got to watch House of the Dragon. We were big into Thrones, and now that's back. And Sunday night, Monday Night Football, I ruined her plans for catching up on some of that stuff. But Netflix and Apple TV and all that stuff. We're always on to something. So I'm a big always looking for the next great TV show. So any recommendations, let me know. But we usually stay on top of that stuff.
Did you watch
Oh, of
Ozark?
course. One of the best.
Yeah.
One of the best shows ever. One of the best shows ever. And they did it right. A lot of finales leave you kind of feeling like, eh. I thought Ozark was pretty good. I thought they wrapped up that show pretty well. Favorite movie. I like war movies. I like gangster movies. So I don't know, like The Departed, Goodfellas, Braveheart,
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan, Gladiator, those kind of movies. I love those kinds of movies.
Did you watch Band of Brothers? Band of Brothers?
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Band
I
of
saw
Brothers
that.
is unbelievable.
Dick Winters was he lived in Hershey, right up the road. And he just passed, man, like 10 or 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. He lived a long time. And do you remember Shifty? Shifty Powers, he was the best shot.
Shifty Powers. I mean, Winters was the guy from Brody from Homeland, the redhead guy.
From Homeland,
right.
Yeah.
But Shifty,
blank on his name.
Shifty's from Wise, Virginia, which I'm just trying to think. That's deep Southwest Virginia. So he's a Virginia guy, and that's where my mom is from. But how about The Wire? And we'll move on. But
absolutely, The Wire.
Yeah.
The best,
Omar.
That's my
Omar.
That's my show, man. Yeah.
Hey, I was at East Carolina in Greenville, North Carolina, on a business call. I sell software, and I walked up to this dude and I said, "Hey, man, is anybody?" He goes, "You think
Michael K. Williams?"
You know, he's like, "You think I look like Omar, don't you?" I said, "I'm sorry, man. You look just like him." It was him, but yeah. Now, how about your musical taste? So your dad's a native Texan. So
no one in my family is native.
North Carolina.
The work Exxon brought him down to Texas,
right,
but
right.
no one's from there.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your
Northeast.
musical taste.
Oh man, I'm a chameleon.
Everybody says that.
I can my playlist, man, you don't know what's coming next. I mean, obviously with my background in sports and stuff like that, hip hop, rap, or definitely near and dear. From all back to Tupac, Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar. Now I love that stuff. Country music. Luke Combs and Kenny Chesney and I can Zach Brown, all kinds of country music, Morgan Wallen. Maybe because of my parents, I love classic rock, oldies. Elton John, Billy Joel, the Beatles, Elvis, Rod Stewart. I listen to all that stuff, and then pop. I mean, I'll listen to Taylor Swift. I'll listen to Ed Sheeran. So I'll listen to pretty much anything, man. Besides maybe like some heavy metal type stuff. So I got a definite interesting playlist. Me and my wife went to the Coldplay concert recently. They were
That's what I was
great.
going to ask you. Last concert. Okay.
Coldplay. They were great. FedEx Field.
Okay.
They were awesome. Chris Martin puts on a show. So I'm a little all over the place with music.
Cell phone. We got $5 billion. So we always ask people. You ask it better, Rusty. Go ahead. You always ask the cell phone question.
$5 billion.
$5 billion.
Just
million won't even get you a condo.
You just got $5 billion. That's
$5 billion.
$5 billion. What is Sean Glennon going to do with $5 billion?
No idea. I mean, that's the kind of money you can't spend. Hopefully I do a lot of good with it. But if we're talking about, the more interesting answers of selfishly, I belong to a lot of golf courses, man, all over the world. I wouldn't, other than playing a lot of good golf and maybe having some nice vacation homes. I'm relatively simple. That's
billions.
No,
you gotta have a plane to fly you to those places.
Private jets. Yeah, we'd have to go with I'd have to get me a G6 or something.
I think there's 3 private jets.
I don't know, man. It's hard. I tell you what,
Sean,
everybody I know would be having a good time. Everybody I know would be.
Sean, buy the Commanders and make yourself the quarterback. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Buy the Commanders.
That's a good one.
Right down the street from where you live. put that stadium somewhere. I live in Woodbridge. They had a plan to put it in Woodbridge, maybe somewhere on the other side of Prince William, like 66. Just so it's not, I don't get the traffic on my side. Man, build that stadium. Dan Snyder's out, you're in, and then like Jerry Jones probably would have done if he was a little younger. He would have been on the team. Make yourself. You don't have hold a clipboard, bro. You can hold a clipboard.
That's a good.
For another 5 years. How old are you?
I didn't get ambitious enough with my spending. All I'm doing is spend on greens fees. Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
Tom Brady.
Buying an NFL franchise is probably a pretty good investment. I don't even know if $5 billion.
Let me help you out.
Now. What are they valued at?
Because you're going to be able, once you get through raising those girls, you're going to have a better idea of what you can spend this kind of money on. First of all, you'd be a member of the Augusta National. All right.
Oh, absolutely.
You remember there, and you would have clearly defined where your vacation homes are. So you're going to have one in the Caribbean, Bora Bora, a nice place probably out in Colorado to ski. Not massa nothing, but, and then, you got to have the private plane. What I always tell Rusty is the material things are cool, but, man, I would go to every Final Four. I would go to every Super Bowl. I would go to the World Series. Man, I would just live at these events, man. And that's the whole thing is, going and seeing stuff. But
I screwed the pooch on this answer. Yeah, I didn't
okay.
get creative.
That's okay.
I didn't get creative.
It's okay. It's late, man.
The next time you're on the show, somebody asks
that might be the first. My wife would make us a full-time nanny. That would be the first actual purchase. Get us a little freedom to be able to, how am I going to get to Augusta in these vacation homes if we don't have someone to kids?
You got $5 billion.
That's where we got to start. That's where we got to start.
Trailways. You're not taking the trailways.
We'll hire a nanny 911 or something like that.
Hey.
Man, Sean, thank you, bro. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you joining us. I learned a lot today. I know our audience has, and you've been great. Now, again, we told you the mark of a good guest is how we didn't finish this in 35, 40 minutes, Sean.
There you go. That was the goal.
So you are the man. You are the man. And look,
I got to catch Sean, Dwight.
Well, Dwight, my brother was like his mentor. You'll see that episode, and he's 7'5", and but look, bro, you have really been great. Again, we want to support you. Anything you do, so come back anytime you want, whether it's your business or you're promoting, something else or whatever. And just keep being you, because you're a good dude, man. We appreciate this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate y'all having me on, and Rusty, I appreciate the bald love. Not making me feel
I got to challenge myself. So
feel too bare out here. But thank you both. Y'all do a great job. Like I said, I did a little stalking before I came on, and you really have a good thing going here.
Appreciate it. Hey,
thank you.
Let's hit that golf ball, man. I'm playing in a corporate event in Atlanta in a couple weeks. I haven't hit them in a long time. And
I told you you live right down the street from my club, so you just let me know.
River Creek, yeah. I like Raspberry Falls a lot. I like Bull Run, and I actually like Belmont Country Club more than I like River Creek. So that's a great course.
You can't say that.
Steve Spurrier was a member at Belmont and lived in Beacon Hill. That's when Beacon Hill's golf course was open. He loved Belmont, but we got some nice tracks. Our public courses up here are really nice, man. Brambleton's a nice course, and Algonquin's very long, not very glamorous, but it's nice. But anyway, I
got one more question. Sean, I know you coach with your daughter. Do you play any sports? Like, are you in any softball leagues or men's basketball leagues?
I wish. I mean, pre-kids, yes, I was. Post-kids, I'm just trying to squeeze in golf when I can. That's all I got right now.
You belong to a gym?
Okay.
Yes.
Where do you go to the gym?
Yes, I do F45. I don't know if y'all have heard of that.
Hey, LA Fitness has basketball, so a lot of runs there.
Sean, so look, bro, I played flag football here in Northern Virginia for about 25 years. I just gave it up. We won a state championship.
25 years. Wow.
In 2017, and I played quarterback all those years. And we were winning Northern Virginia championships. We went to states. So, Sean, if you were available, you could be on my team, but I'm the quarterback, bro. I'm sorry.
Be one of the wideouts.
I put you at wide out, or you'd be snapping and I say go out and do a button hook because you're so big.
I'm used to it. So real quick, I got asked to play in the Redskins Pros versus Joe's 7-on-7 thing.
Yeah.
To be on the pros, even though I wasn't a former Redskin. So I guess it shows how desperate they were that they asked me. I didn't get to play a snap at quarterback. Freaking Randall L said no. Like I'm
yeah, Randy.
I ran routes the whole time.
He was nice at Indiana though. He could play.
Well, he didn't even let me get one snap on the setter. So I showed up to play receiver apparently.
When we played, our mutual friend Russell, who was a 6'3" basketball player, ran track in college. He was my tailback. We played flag football, but I was an option wishbone quarterback in high school. So we were just running the option all the time, and I just would have probably had you just run a 9. Like if I didn't pitch it, then I throw it to my man Steve Burke. Steve, shout out. Steve Burke lives out there in Ashburn. Slippery Rock, one of the best receivers, defensive backs in flag football history. Got you in there.
I don't think I would. I don't think I could break a 5.040 right now. So I don't think you want me.
Oh my God, I couldn't do a 6.040, man. All right, Sean.
No.
Hey man,
right,
tell your father the loud guy from the Orange Bowl asked about him. I know he's I know your parents are enjoying being grandparents, and all the best to you, man. If we can ever help you, let us know. Like I said,
thank you.
All the golden handcuff people are getting out of here and they're moving. So the people that are buying their houses and a lot of people moving to North Carolina and Florida, as you very well know, and are leaving here.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's all about who you know and taking care of each other. So Sean, thank you very much for coming on, and let's hit that white ball, man. All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
You let me know. Thanks to you both.
All right.
All right,
Yeah,
Sean.
thank you. All right. God bless you, bro.
All right. We're out.